Jim Menard's a partner for technology transformation for EY. It's great to talk to you, Jim. Thanks for joining me today. What are you seeing organizations in the Defense Department doing to maximize the potential of artificial intelligence?
I think first off, I'd say AI is real. I think it represents really the next massive step change in how technology will impact the way the world works. So that's pretty exciting. In the DoD space today, we're seeing some great examples of how artificial intelligence, they're having some success. In the back office mainly, and a good example is with acquisition reform, where we're seeing examples of just piles of requirements information and solicitation, documentation, and the like that's compiled, and AI is being used to generate in a very efficient, accurate way acquisition documentation to go out to industry. Of course, there are also many more very mission-specific use cases for AI in the DoD. Everything from the predictive models for understanding adversary actions to come, and the creation of courses of action for commanders to use in the field of battle. So some real potential for AI that is being worked on today, and much more to come.
What do you think will drive the transition or the evolution of AI from back office to the tip of the spear type activities that I know organizations are already looking at doing things like that, but what do you think fulfills that potential?
I think that one of the challenges that the DoD is having is they get stuck in what I call the execution phase of AI, where they're very focused on immediate development and implementation for outcomes. But they can really use more of a factory approach, I think, to organizing their thinking about how to not just start with AI, but really maintain that momentum through the course of time. Think of it as 5 different areas that are included in that factory approach. There's demand management to really help you understand the use cases that make sense and how to prioritize those use cases. They work their way through that execution, which is the design and development, and into the sustainment phase, which is really understanding, how to manage the AI that's been created. Those 3 areas are really wrapped with 2 other pieces. One is something that's called AI-ready data. It's this idea that, you want to have cleansed data, you want to have available and secure data so that you can have ingestion-ready data for your AI. You can't be AI-ready unless you've got ingestion-ready data. And then finally, the other piece that works around those 3 major tenets of the factory is just a governance piece. How are you going to build an operating model to maintain AI? But you also think about, from a risk management perspective, creating responsible principles for AI so that you can actually drive forward with ethical use of AI. And I think that's going to be huge as, to your question about it, we connect from the back office to the mission, really making this a responsible use of the capability.
The phases that you laid out there are interesting to me, and you said the department seems to get stuck on the execution phase. What have you seen be the best success practices to get from the execution phase to the sustainment phase? I think I have the sequence right there.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, I think, from an execution phase perspective, you really want to make sure that you've got your focus up front of the most important use case for the business or the particular mission that you're attempting to solve for. And then once you have that in place through some prioritization that you'll really make good decisions to actually get into sustainment, and you'll be able to follow that through. I think if you're not thinking enough about the prioritization of what you need to focus on, you can really shoot off into many different ways that a lot of them won't make sense for you.
You used 2 terms a moment ago about data that I want to ask you about: ingestion-ready data and AI-ready data. Are those 2 different names for the same idea, or are those 2 different ideas that maybe are on parallel, or what's the landscape look like there?
Yeah, it's really intended to all come into one concept of AI-ready data. I think one of the biggest challenges with AI is if your data isn't ready, you're not gonna get the outcome you'd like. A lot of it has to do with data quality, making sure that, if you got junk coming in, you're gonna have junk going out, so you want the data quality high. You need the data to be available and secure from the get-go. And so what you've got is this ingestion-ready information that that you can use for your AI. So that's really the concept of the AI-ready data that we're focused on.
What's your assessment of how the organizations in the department are doing at getting their data ready to be used in some of these applications?
Yeah, it's a massive set of effort. There are a ton of organization around data quality. There are groups and boards that have been created internal to the Department of Defense agencies that allow them to take these steps. But at the end of the day, a lot of it is just sort of rudimentary, looking at the systems that produce your data and how you can cleanse that information so that you can make most use of it when it comes to AI. So a lot of activity underway for sure.
It's a term that I heard a lot, I would say 3 or 4 years ago. Didn't hear it at all for a while, and I'm starting to hear it again, and that is the effort to build stuff low code, no code. What's the connection to that kind of worldview of building software to what you're seeing now in artificial intelligence?
Yeah, low code, no code. I think when the DoD considers what can happen with low code, no code, in addition to generally reaching out to industry to find more, I think they can look at other industries and the success that's being had. We see banking and the financial services sector is having a lot of success. I think the success from low code development really starts with what it really is, and from the groundswell of what low code, no code is all about. They're platforms that allow for application development based on visual design tools and pre-built components. So it's just much simpler the way that these low-code platforms come together from a development standpoint. You can take the pre-built components, you can pull them together in your development environment, and it's a much different way than how traditional programming languages are used for application development of old. And the result are several advantages that I think are noteworthy. First off, you can develop much quicker, and which drives much lower cost from a development standpoint. And then you can get to market much quicker. The key, I think, for the DoD, the other advantage I think about is really the creation of exceptional customer or soldier experiences that low code, no code platforms can provide. They allow for this very easy to follow process, self-guided path, I guess I'd say, through an application. And it's this super intuitive user interface that gets created based on the platforms that make them very easy to use. In addition to ease of use, there's much less effort spent on training. So when I think about low-code technologies and the advantages for the Department of Defense, it has a lot to do with that exceptional client experience, as well as this less investment overall into training that's required. So a lot of good can come from them and really represent a different way to develop applications in the DoD.
Final thought, and it's a little bit off track, but you mentioned the banking industry as an industry, a sector that's experienced in using low code, no code. And I'm not thinking in this question specifically about the low code, no code concept, but in general, the AI items that we've discussed and so on. What are other sectors potentially that the defense universe can look to as already having track records of success or establishing best practices that might be transferable?
Absolutely, yeah. There are several. I think healthcare is one that comes to mind. There's been a lot of success and really good uses of artificial intelligence to really transform the patient experience. So that's a big example I think I can draw from. And there are many others. Consumer products abound, communications of all kind. Like I said, banking, financial services. There are a lot of initial steps being taken that the DoD can learn an absolute ton from.
Jim, it's great to talk to you today. Nice to see you again.
Absolutely. Thank you, Francis.